Welcome back to the Team to Beat Miami Heat podcast. My name is Amir. Thank you for following on Spotify and Apple Podcast. And if you guys are watching this on YouTube, thank you for subscribing to the channel. The support means a lot to me, so thank you so much. And if you're watching this episode on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share. So thank you so much. So for today's episode, I want to talk about Jimmy Butler and specifically want to talk about playoff Jimmy and want to discuss with you guys if you guys think playoff Jimmy is overhyped. So when it comes to the playoffs, we know that the Miami Heat are one of the contending teams over the past 4 to 5 years. And the key to signing Jimmy Butler was to add more talent on this team. And when we first signed him, I honestly didn't expect him to perform as well as he's done so far and shifted this team into a real contender. And I want to talk about playoff Jimmy specifically and to see if it's a real thing or not. Is Jimmy Butler overhyped? And can Jimmy Butler lead this Miami Heat team to an NBA championship? So Jimmy Butler, as we know, has built quite a reputation as a playoff performer from his days with the Chicago Bulls, even the Sixers, to his current stint with the Miami Heat. Butler has consistently delivered in the postseason with clutch shots, lockdown defense, and a fiery competitiveness. So let's take a look closer at the hype surrounding Jimmy Butler. Does his playoff performance truly live up to the acclaim? Or is it just a case of inflated expectations? So, since joining the Miami Heat, Butler has been a driving force behind the team's success. His leadership, versatility, and his relentless work ethic has elevated the play of his teammates and has propelled the Heat deep into the playoffs. So the Miami Heat have a record of 37-27 with Jimmy Butler in the playoffs, and that might not sound really impressive, honestly, but Jimmy Butler has led the Miami Heat to 2 finals appearances and 3 Eastern Conference championship appearances in his first 4 seasons with the Miami Heat, which is super impressive. However, the Heat have still not won a championship with Jimmy Butler. So if we look at the way he's performed as an individual carrying this team in the playoffs, let's look real quick at his overall playoff numbers. So this includes his time with the Bulls as well as the Sixers. So Jimmy is averaging 21.5 points per game, 5.3 assists, 6.9 rebounds, shooting 45.7% from the field, and 32.5% from three. But if you look at his stats just with the Miami Heat in the playoffs, those numbers increase to a certain degree, especially when it comes to points. He's averaging 25 points per game, 5.7 assists, and 6.8 points or rebounds, per game. So we know that Jimmy definitely steps up during the playoffs, and he's one of the top contending playoff performers over the past 4 years, outside of a Steph Curry, outside of a Joker, obviously, and a few other players perhaps. But there's not too many players that have done better than Jimmy Butler or someone that you would want on your team. He's a top 3 to 5 playoff contender. In the regular season, we know we deal with him missing a ton of games, load management, him not taking the regular season as serious as he should, which is super annoying. But when it comes to the playoffs, he elevates his game and his team, and he makes his teammates better, and he puts them on his back. And you could see the way he plays as a two-way player, his intensity on the defensive end, and just playing amazing with like locking down folks one-on-one, playing great zone within the scheme, just getting into passing lanes, deflections, etc. Like he's a menace on the defensive end when it comes to the playoffs. And also, he's super clutch offensively. And, he tries a lot harder, gets to the free throw line a lot more in the playoffs. So Jimmy Butler has done as much as he possibly can with this Miami Heat team. And we know A lot of it is due to roster construction, not upgrading the roster enough during his stint, not putting a real big next to Bam Adebayo. Injuries, 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 always a key unlucky factor and variable, but that's part of the game. Other players and teams have had injuries that have derailed championship expectations. So that's the luck of the draw, I would say. Like health is wealth when it comes to the NBA playoffs, and usually the healthiest teams always win. Like it's very rare that a team is going to win when they have major injuries. So you could look back on the Cavs in the past, the Warriors in the past, um, the Spurs in the past. Like all these teams have either been benefited by them or screwed by them. You know, with major injuries to the Clay Thompsons of the world, the KDs, the Kawhis, the Kevin Loves, the Kyrie Irvings, and there's the list goes on and on. So injuries are a factor, and you know that plays a big role. But if the Miami Heat were healthy, could the Heat have already won a championship? I think so. I think so. I think the bubble is probably one of the best opportunities for the Miami Heat to win. And with Jimmy Butler at age 34, in the twilight of his prime, I think we're running out of a time right now, and the time is now. And I don't think Jimmy Butler is overhyped. I don't think playoff Jimmy is overhyped, in my opinion, because he's done a lot for this franchise. And I didn't believe that he was a 1A or even 1B type player, honestly, before he came to the Miami Heat. Like he had an opportunity with the Sixers playing next to Joel Embiid 5 years ago, which is insane. So he was even younger. I think it was 5.5 years ago. So he was like 29 years old playing with Joel Embiid, and they couldn't even get to the East Finals. I mean, that was due to playing a really good Raptors team and Kawhi hitting that big shot in Game 7, I believe. Um, but either way, he's definitely lived up to the expectations, and I think he does elevate his game. He's super clutch and plays extremely hard and is a tough out in the playoffs. So I'm going to ask you this question. So the big question remains, can Jimmy Butler lead the Miami Heat to an NBA championship? I think with his skill set and leadership and championship experience that he's developed over the last 4 years with the Heat, can. And Butler certainly has the potential to be a difference maker on the biggest stage, as we've seen. I think Jimmy has what it takes to lead this Heat with Bam Adebayo. But time is running out, like I just said. He's 34. But this season, the help and additions of Terry Rozier, who's coming into his own recently, playing really well, and adding rookie Jaime Jaquez, who's been up and down, obviously, because he's a rookie, but having him this year will be an advantage. Having Nikola Jovic in the rotation, someone who's bigger, can rebound, play in the transition, hit the three, is a difference maker. Having Patty Mills even off the bench, who might not even play a minute in the playoffs, but someone who could hit that big three. Adding DeLon Wright on defense, just little moves like these, I think, are gonna make an impact on this Miami Heat team. And Duncan Robinson, obviously, and you mentioned him, elevating his game and is not just a 3-point shooter, but someone who could actually facilitate and put the ball on the floor and get to the rim, which is insane. So um, is Jimmy Butler overhyped in the playoffs? I don't know. I don't think so. But what do you think? Could he be the missing piece to a championship puzzle for the Miami Heat, or is he the piece for the Miami Heat? And we need to figure out what are the missing pieces because he probably only has one more year after this. I think next year is probably, honestly, his last year, um, where he could actually compete at this level. But only time will tell. We shall see. But one thing's for sure: Jimmy Butler on their side, the Heat side, is definitely a formula for success, and that always makes the Miami Heat a threat. So anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments. Is Jimmy Butler overhyped? Do you think he can win a championship for this Heat before he retires or gets traded? I don't know if he'll get traded, but does he have an opportunity to win a championship? Let me know in the comments. Thank you so much.